Okay, sounds good.
All right, Mr. Jerry, this is a Crooked Spine Show. I'm Dr. Tony, the host. I'm here with Jerry Baker again. He has a great products he actually uses and helps people understand how to stay healthy. He has a great blog focused on everything about healthy, about longevity too. I'm worried about longevity with our brain today. How do we keep our brain and our mind sharp to make our body over time do the right thing so long term we can stay healthy? So other topics that can make you understand. Jerry has done the research. He's read books on the topic one too. I want to pick his brain how this works. So Jerry, give me a quick background of what you do now in your retired state besides playing golf and having fun.
Well, I don't play golf. I'll go out in the golf course with clubs and balls.
That's
Lots of
me.
golf.
That's me too. I agree.
Yeah. So no, I am. I have 6 grandkids. So spending
Mhm.
time with grandkids, my wife and kids and grandkids. That's great. Yeah, I do play golf. I've got some guys I play with maybe once a week. And then I spent 45, depending on the account, I guess, years in the healthcare field, and so now I have my own company, or my own company was work from home. I work as a contractor, but um, representing the most clinically proven wellness company in the world. And so it's just a continuation of the kind of things that I've been doing over the last few years, except a little different focus. Instead of focusing on prescription medicine and all that kind of thing, what can you do? What are natural products that you
Mhm.
can take that keep you healthy? I like to tell people, you can choose to spend some money now to get your health and stay healthy, or you can be forced to spend money later and a lot more money to get your health back. So, and I think it's pretty much what like you do too. I mean, people got to pay you, of course, but they're paying you to be healthy and to stay healthy rather than you know who knows 10, 20 years down the road, if they haven't done that, then they've got issues that now you're talking surgery. So you
Well,
know
that's my thing too. Is they're paying to pay attention,
yeah.
right? This is what it comes down to. They're paying. If I pay, I'm going to use the supplements. I'm going to go to the chiropractor. I'm going to do the
Yeah.
things the chiropractor wants me to do at home to start building a self care routine of routine maintenance of my body, keep it at peak performance. Why
Yeah.
wait until you can't get out of your hospital bed to go now worry about my health? No,
Yeah.
we're not animals. We understand there's things we can do now. You know?
Right. We're so much on the same page, my friend.
Yes, that's and like I said, I saw your blog, and again, brain health boom is huge right now for one too.
Right. Yeah.
Let's get ourselves healthy, understand what it takes to keep this sharp over time. Even though my wife says not sure sharp all every day, it's pretty dull, but I think my mind's pretty sharp over time. So as we know.
All
So
right.
really, in what age is there a certain age group per se that we start thinking about? Hey, research wise, we start losing our cognitibility. Our brain isn't as sharp as normal. When does that happen normally, Jeremy? Jerry?
Well, may not like this answer, but and some of the information I've gotten from we have a brain supplement product. I don't talk about it. It's one of 250 or so different products. I don't talk about it that often, but recently I'd read a book on the brain and made me start thinking about that again and focusing a little more. But our brains just start declining as early as the age 20.
Yeah.
Yeah. And by the age 45, this decline occurs even more rapidly. So
Jerry, that's not good news, sir. That's not good
I know,
news.
I know. Well, you don't. Sorry, you asked the question.
I know. What was I thinking?
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
I was surprised too.
good to know though. Why does that happen?
Well, I think it's just just like anything else in age.
Mhm.
Unless and there are things you can do to improve that, just like with age, as your muscles lose tone and that sort of thing. Unless you're doing things like chiropractic, to keep everything in order and shape, and then exercising keep your muscles in shape. Same way with the brain, you've got to exercise the brain, and then you've got to make sure you're feeding the brain what the brain needs. So
Mhm. We
yeah,
realize our body stops developing, stops growing per se at about 20, 21, 22. So that makes sense to where if we're going to stop
yeah,
growing, we start going the other way, correct? So we have to do
yeah,
more maintenance per se to do the work to keep our brain as sharp as possible, even our body sharp as possible too.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, it was like I said, kind of shocked me too because I was like 60 when I read this.
Like,
Oh my!
wasted 40 years of my life. What the heck?
But I don't know. I don't want to, you know. I just talk real quickly about a book.
Yeah, of course. That's what I was going to ask you about what the book
Oh
you
yeah,
read.
yeah. It's a book called Limitless by Jim Quick.
Okay.
And I won't go to a lot of detail. It's it's a fairly thick book, but he was when he was in kindergarten. Actually, he fell and hit his head, and he was called, one of his teacher called him the damaged brain kid. I mean,
Mm,
teachers
that's
sometimes they can
that's
do a
nice.
lot of good, but he spent a lot of his life learning how to learn,
Mhm.
and I'm reading this book in a group that I'm in for just personal growth and that sort of thing. But um, one of the things that struck me, and I could talk a lot about that, but one of the things he says, nobody has a bad memory. He says everybody has an untrained memory,
Ah,
and he goes into a lot of detail about how to train your brain. I'll give you a quick example, like how to remember names. You know, I don't know how you do, but when I meet somebody, when they turn and walk out, what's his name again? So, yeah,
mhm.
but he trains you how to make associations. For instance, I met a guy at church who has anyhow he had come in with a walker initially, and then he was walking with a cane. So hey, he introduced himself. His name was Jim. Okay, so I say, hey, hi Jim. It's nice to meet you, Jim. Is Jim your name or is it James? Anyhow, so kind of do that kind of interaction and make association. Then ask, what's your last name? Well, it's Dietzel. Okay, and then so I started thinking, Dietzel, that sounds German. Yeah, oh yeah, he's German, and so on. Bottom line is, by the time I finished, what I picture is I see him sitting in a Mercedes Benz in front of the chiropractor's office. Well, I said the gym before, but now I say
Yeah.
chiropractor. Thinking
Yeah,
maybe I
I
should
understand. I get
say
it.
So every time I see him now, he's German. He's driving a German diesel. His last name is Diesel, and he's going to the chiropractor because he's having some problems associated with some shot he got a while ago. And so it was that kind of thing. And then he talks about speed reading. So now I'm speed reading, which I hadn't done before.
Mhm.
Um, but basically, help me to understand that my brain is not it's not limited. Your brain, you've got so much capability in your brain. We're just not tapping into it. So,
When
but
even reading the book too, Jerry, is you continue to learn. You
yeah,
continue to learn. It never stops, right? We should
right.
never. Once we stop learning, might as well put some dirt on top of our head. That's about
Yeah,
it. You
you're
know,
dead. You're
it's
dead.
almost like I said. If we're not learning, we're going the other way per se. So by seeing that, another guest reminded me of another guest that had Brody Miller on. I just looked him up again. He had to have brain surgery because he had a brain bleed. So he
Oh
had
wow.
to relearn how to function to get his brain to actually the nerves to reconnect to
Yeah.
allow normal brain function. And
Sure.
that's a process, right? If our brains are not learning, they're almost that connection in our brain is dissipating versus as
Sure.
we do our association, as we do our puzzles, do our things to get our brain to work and get sharper, those connections get stronger and stronger and
Yeah.
stronger. That's
Yeah.
that's the overall plan.
What thing like he suggests doing things with your non-dominant hand that you usually like brush your teeth. I brush my teeth with my right hand, so I started brushing my teeth with my left hand. And what I found was my right arm was making that brushing motion. I couldn't stop it. I had to stick it in my pocket. But just and so you're training your brain. So you have to keep your brain active. We can talk a little bit more about that later as
Yeah.
well. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And going to certain foods that does help our brain improve and get things going. What are certain foods, we'll talk about supplements too in a little bit, that actually help our brain stay healthy?
yeah. Well, the good news is one of those is dark chocolate. So
Yes.
so there,
That's my favorite. That's my thing.
all right. So there you go. That's your excuse to when your wife says you shouldn't be eating chocolate, and it's well, it's good brain food.
Well, and
So
it hopefully doesn't ask me quantity because quantity I can eat a lot of chocolate. So that's not a
well, yeah,
problem.
it's like anything, moderation in all things. But
Yes.
yeah, um, walnuts and there are other nuts,
Nice.
and Well, I'm just kind of looking at my notes here, but yeah, you've got vitamin E in the walnuts, and there's a omega-3 fatty acid, which is omega-3s. People don't realize how important that is. I think I mentioned the last time I was on the omega-3 index
Yep.
to order that test, and you find a lot about how healthy you are, particularly your heart health.
And
Um,
what is the one thing that pregnant moms are being told by their pediatrician now to help their brain fog and also their brains, their child's future child's brain develop too, is more omega threes.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
we have an omega-3 supplement for kids. It's a gummy, so
Mhm.
it's they like it. I mean, it just doesn't have a fishy flavor, but they just chew it and they think my youngest granddaughter thinks it's candy.
Yes.
So she wants to, she gets a packet every day and then she wants to have another packet. And so no,
You don't want to get too smart for your pants at this point.
exactly,
That's
exactly.
like earlier is what the kids are still developing to about 21, 22. So why not get their brain developed early and continue healthy all through that process? That's great.
Yeah, and start before you're 21. So
Yes.
fatty fish, of course, that's not surprising. Any kind of source of vitamin K, insufficient intake of vitamin K has been linked to cognitive decline. So um, dark greens, broccoli, lettuce, all those things that
And
you know
and
I don't
bananas are
need.
vitamin K, correct? Potassium.
Sorry,
Bananas.
bananas. It's not on my list here, but um, it could be. I can't say for
I think
sure.
in my head, potassium, vitamin K is banana. I think in my head, but
Okay.
again, we'll go over that. But again, and a lot of it's going to be having your plate in your daily moods or foods actually there as a way to supplement your brain health is great.
Yeah, and just remember, I'm getting smarter as I'm eating this.
Yes.
Um, but we also have a supplement. It's organic greens, and it's all ground up. So you just one scoop of that, and you put it in. That's like the equivalent of 1 cup of green vegetables. So if you don't like eating greens, that's another option. So,
Well, and one thing, I had a buddy of mine in chiropractic school, Steve, a great guy, but never liked vegetables.
oh
So
yeah,
he said, like he took a supplement every day and realized a lot of our foods, and people know this already, common knowledge. A lot of foods don't have the vitamin minerals that it should have.
you're right. Yeah,
They're very depleted. So having a supplement is your best insurance policy to get your daily average per day that you need.
yeah, yeah. And that's well, I'll finish this and I'll
Sure.
tag on to that in a minute. But caffeine,
Mm,
is that good news or what? Uh,
yes.
but again, moderation in all things. But imagine starting a day with a cup of coffee and a piece of dark chocolate.
I,
You
I,
know,
I can't imagine my day not starting with a cup of coffee. I can't get to my office without a cup of coffee. There's
yeah,
no way.
sure, I'm sure. But yeah, and again, in moderation. Foods with a high concentration of vitamin B. So eggs are good. Legumes, whole grains, meats, seeds, nuts, and so on. And but again, you can also. And that's the other thing that of course, I really liked about this book. At one point, he gives. This is a little different list than what he had, but at one point he said, "But supplements are an option. You just have to be careful to ensure you're getting a high quality supplement." Which, as I said, our supplements are made by the company who's the most clinically proven wellness company in the world. So there's no problem with that.
Good.
Berries, particularly the bright berries. They have flavonoids and antioxidants, which are really great for your brain. And the muscadine berry, some say muscadine, but the muscadine berry is very, very uh, good for your brain. Matter of fact, again, we have a supplement which is a extract of the muscadine grapeberry, and then turmeric.
Mhm.
Not many people know about that or hear about that, but turmeric is also it's a great antioxidant for your brain, uh,
Mhm.
and it has a lot of other great benefits. And again, of course, we happen to have a supplement with turmeric. So yeah, there's a lot of foods you can eat that really support brain health. And so, it's you're thinking about your brain. What can I do for my brain? And there are certain things you can do. But yeah, the just eating what you eat. Be careful what you eat, and focus on those things that I talked about. and that will help. I think I'm
And,
getting smarter because I started doing that. So
well, and that's my takeaway too. Is do you have? I order a big bag of what's it called, seeds and nuts that I have daily. That's part of my routine. I have eggs for breakfast for one too. How do you
yeah,
make your routine a way to the way you normally you have to eat anyways, correct?
right,
Your coffee, your dog cutters, that's what you like to do. How do you make your normal diet part of your brain health? You know,
right,
versus sometimes look at foods, junk foods, for example, have no nutritional value. They're kind of a waste of calories per se. Can we
yeah,
just change something maybe one at a time? Go, okay, I like this. Let me try this and add slowly. So our learning curve becomes if one even our taste buds get used to that and then add one more thing. And over time, realize we're actually getting healthy with a period of 2-3 months.
right, yeah. Yeah, and it doesn't have to, you people think, well, I have to eat all this stuff I don't like. No, no, there are things that you like that are good for you. Now, I'm not a big fish eater, but my wife loves fish. She can have fish every meal. Well, we're not doing that, I'll tell you.
I'll be over here. I'll be over here. You go over there. Got it. Got it.
But no, I mean, she makes salmon and it's really great. And, like I have a protein shake for breakfast a lot of mornings, and I put a scoop of the organic greens booster in there, and hey, I'm getting a cup of vegetable. I'll actually put an avocado half an hour, and that's another thing that's really great, for your maybe
Make
not
it
brain health so much, but for your health in general. And it doesn't really have a lot of taste, but it makes it creamy. And so, yeah, there's a lot of things that maybe you don't think about that you don't think about eating, but avocado is really great for you, and if you put it in a shake, it doesn't have that much taste. So
It's amazing how a lot of us have learned to do shakes more. Versus,
yeah,
I want to say 15 years ago, even less than that, people were like, shakes are just a fad, blah, blah. Now it's like, it's so much easier. Done.
I,
Boom, 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 out.
oh yeah, they're easier, and at least the shakes that we have. Of course, you expect me to say this, but it's true. They taste great. I mean, I've had people come to me and say, I'm taking these protein shakes. Oh, they're awful. I said, well, here, try this, and they say, oh, wow, it's really good. So it's not like you're having to give up. We're not saying give up eggs. Eggs are good for you.
Yeah.
But if you're going to have a shake, protein shake, we've got a very tasty protein shake, and you put things in there that are good for your brain.
Nice.
So how
It's,
much
it's,
better?
it's part of finding a good way to do it, and still it's a win-win. You're getting what you need, and it still tastes good.
Yeah.
I remember the old shakes before, like just nasty. It was a big.
Oh,
I think John Wilder was one of the first protein shakes back in the '90s. It was protein, but it tasted like you were having some of those medications or some type of
right.
medicine.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Oh,
when you do it now and it tastes good, it's why not? Hey,
yes,
a
yes,
great
it's
breakfast. It's
healthy for you.
quick to fix. You can take it with you and drink it on the way. So absolutely.
And what are certain things going on next topic too for our brain activity? What can we do to get our brain moving? You mentioned reading, you mentioned other things too, and also brush your teeth. But what can we do to get our brains a little bit more sharp over time?
Yeah. Well, and there's this study. Where is it done? It's from the Harvard Medical blog. Regular exercise changes the brain to improve memory and thinking skills.
Hmm.
So just exercise, and I don't, I'm not a big, I'm going out and pumping iron, 5 days a week. And I go out and walk. I walk the dog,
Mm-hmm.
30, 45 minutes. I mean, well, there's a gym. Well, no, there's another.
You do some weight training, but not 5 days a week. Looking ready for
Right.
the show. You're not ready for a bodybuilding show.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, I, I shouldn't say I'm passing. I guess I could develop a six pack, but it would take a lot of work. And at my age, I'm not interested in that. So,
Yeah, there's at that point you go like, okay, I'm comfortable with my body. I'm doing good enough to work every day, play golf every day, and get up and walk my dog every day. So I'm
yeah,
good to go.
yeah. I mean, I'm in good health for 75. I'm in no medications, and
Fantastic.
that's the way you want to live. Just let me just read a little bit from this from the article, but the benefits of exercise come directly from its ability to reduce insulin resistance, reduce inflammation, and stimulate the release of growth factors, chemicals in the brain that affect the health of brain cells and the growth of new blood vessels in the brain, and even the abundance and survival of new brain cells. We don't always think about the brain, about the blood supply, but yeah, increasing the blood supply to the brain. If you're not getting oxygen to the brain, I mean, I tell you, in
That's
the
called a
morning.
stroke, sir. That's called a brain aneurysm, a stroke. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. And there are times when I think, I need
Yeah.
I could get a bottle of oxygen, in the morning, but lots of water that helps.
Tough. Yeah. We'll talk about hydration too for one thing.
Oh
Is
yeah.
there certain exercise they recommend in the article, certain exercises, or is it certain just overall general exercises?
Well, let me just finish some other things here. There's studies that have suggested that parts of the brain that control thinking and memory have greater volume in people who exercise versus people who don't.
Mm.
Even more exciting is the finding that engaging in a program of regular exercise of moderate intensity over 6 months or years associated with an increase in the volume of selected brain regions. So your brain's getting bigger.
Yeah.
Because your brain's, we talked earlier about 21. Actually, what happens is your brain starts to shrink a little bit. So the exercise, is what we just talked about, is getting good blood flow to the brain, and not to mention, well, I didn't say that, so I won't. But reducing the inflammation and stimulating growth factors that help your brain grow. So yeah, absolutely.
It's
So
like anything. It's all our muscles. Our muscles require activity to stay strong. If not, they atrophy, they shrink, they degenerate. So if we want to regenerate muscle, we have to do things to make that muscle regenerate. And our brain is a muscle.
Yeah.
We have to make those neurons fire so things can work properly. So, and you feel that effect by having a sharper brain, sharper thinking, and more reaction time, which is great.
Oh yeah. And you can add, our brain supplement. I've got people who do take it. I mean, they swear by it. I could tell you some stories, but we don't have time on that. But it's basically it's a unique. It's a Chardonnay grapeseed polyphenol blend created from the Chardonnay grapeseed extract. Now, personally, I'd rather just have a glass of Chardonnay, but that's not that's not going to do it.
Matter of fact, you can't have that for breakfast, sir. Come on now.
Yeah, it's 5 o'clock. It's 5 o'clock somewhere, as they say.
Oh no! Oh no!
Yeah. My father-in-law is French, so
got it.
But then there's a guarana extract that they use, but it's I think a lot of the really like the 5-hour energy drink or whatever it is, they use the guarana seed, but it's or guarana bean, I guess it is. But they use a very high concentration of caffeine. The Shaklee uses a portion of the bean that is not high in caffeine, but it really improves cognitive performance. They've done a number of studies that show 3 times better short-term memory and focus than the control group, and 30% lower shrinkage rate. So, and helps to improve circulation to the brain. So I pop one of those one a day, and let's say I have a client through my BNI group. She started that, and she really knows the difference. If she doesn't take it, she's really struggling with remembering words. Just the short-term memory, and it really helps. So, but I wouldn't recommend just that. It's just everything else we talked about as well.
And sometimes we do have conditions where medically we're diagnosed as a low level of cognitive ability, mental sharpness for 1 and 2, which does occur. When you have that intake supplements like you're mentioning too, Jerry, at that point we're going to notice a difference.
Oh yeah.
Yes, and it's hard for people to understand. Preventive health is doing things now before you have a condition.
Right.
So for me, we take supplements we eat well because we don't want to have these problems in the future.
Right.
That's the biggest thing. That's where hope is for too.
Yeah. But you and I, for guys, we're a little different because I think we've talked about this before. Guys, so often it's like they have a strategy of hope. I hope I don't get sick, and if I do get sick, I hope there's a good drug, and and getting through to people sometimes. I'll present them with stuff that's, to me, it's just a no-brainer. Speaking of brains, and it's like, oh, okay.
It's a quality of life when it degrades slowly. Sometimes people don't notice that when they have a heart attack, when they
Yeah.
have an event in their life, they go, "Oh, maybe I should get this done." I had a patient told me today earlier that his uncle had colon surgery because he had colon cancer, so they had to remove his colon. So his I think his nephew, his brother, had a colonoscopy right away because of that scare.
Sure.
That got him go, I better do something now before it happens to me because it's family history and blah, blah, blah. So that sometimes that scare needed versus just doing it now. I think women are just smarter in general in the sense of preventive
Yeah.
health. They want to stay healthy. They want to look good. They want to feel good. Men are like, I'm okay if I gain a couple pounds. I'm okay if I can't move enough up. I'm okay if I don't eat for a couple of days. It's just, it's a idea of quality of life here, 100% versus some guys are okay with 50%. Because I think sometimes it's the social connections they have too that say that's okay, the average. I never want to be average, Jared.
Yeah,
I always want to be above average in my overall health. That's my plan.
Yeah. And, I've got a client, for instance, his father died when his father died at the age of 28.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how old he was at that time, very young. But that really, obviously, that had an impact on him. And he's just very focused on doing what he can to stay healthy. So, we got him started on some supplements that, omegas, of course, was a big one for the heart, and other things just, to keep him healthy. But if you look at, Sheckley did a study, I won't go into all the details, but it's done by the University of California at Berkeley. He looked at long-term Sheckley users and then people who use other supplements. But they did a graph and they show that, I guess across the graph, there's, forget the actually term, but it's health events that you don't want.
Mm-hmm.
And at the age, and so Shackley is down here, and the others are kind of down there a little bit. But around the age of 50, all of a sudden, those who are not taking anything or taking, I don't know.
The risk factor goes higher and higher, right? The risk
Right.
factor.
I'm trying to, on Zoom, I can mirror my video so I can actually.
I use my hand as a line as my own personal
Right. So anyhow.
We get the idea, though. We have to do things consistently, right? For our body, like you mentioned earlier, too, 3 to 6 months, a year, 9 months. It takes time for our body to shift its physiology with taking supplements, with eating better, with exercising more. Give yourself time to adjust, not to expect immediate results all the time.
Right. And I distracted myself by that thing. But at the age of 40 or 50, all of a sudden, the unwanted health outcomes just kind of go up.
Yep.
And with the Shackley users, it went up a little bit, but it stayed well below the line of unwanted health outcomes. And it's, so a lot of times, people, or guys in particular, they're kind of tooling along, and then, like you say, at 50, they have a heart attack. Oh, gosh, what should I do now? And then now what you have to do and what you have to pay is so much more arduous than what you had if you just started that and when you were 20. And I didn't start any of this until I was in my 60s. I took a vitamin, once a day. Then I won't tell you the brand, but I really felt good that I was doing something, but it didn't do anything for me. And it was one of the vitamins that was in the Berkeley study, where it did not perform well at all.
It sold well. It sold very well. It just didn't have any health benefits.
Advertising,
Huge.
I mean, that's manufactured in a lab, so you don't have any natural coenzymes you need to absorb the vitamin. It had the molecular structure of the vitamin, but as somebody said, we have the most expensive urine in the world.
And that's the thing I think when talking about before too, going back to it, we want quality over quantity. We want to make sure we're doing the right things by doing our own personal research, or like yourself too, trusting that he's done this for a long time. He understands what he's talking about. He uses the product too. We pick his brain. That's why I have my audience, my people on my podcast and my shows. Hey, links back to Jerry, which will link to the show to how to connect with him, even take his test too, to see where you are today. Good other one too, Jerry, too. How do social interactions affect our brain health?
Yeah, that was an interesting thing too. It's I didn't download this one, but it's Harvard Medical School health publication. Um, it just it showed that social connections such as family, friends, close friends, church, club, organization, they contribute to a better outlook for the brain. I don't think that was detailed in any great detail in that study, but that was something that we don't often. I think I'm trying to think now. There was a study a while back on what they call it, green zones or something like that. There were certain zones in the world where people just experienced better health. And
Okay.
one of the factors in that was the social interaction. And we live in a country where anymore, of course, when my parents were growing up, and to a certain extent when I was young too, I mean, it was just there was all a lot of social interaction. People lived; they didn't move away from where they lived. They a lot of times they would live together, and so that family interaction is just really has a positive impact on your brain. Today we're so scattered. I got a daughter in California, I got a son in Maryland, I got another son in Florida, and so it's but the social interaction is a big factor in brain health. So,
And then part of it too is when you have that combined with an activity that you do, like golfing with your friends, a workout group that you do a class with every week,
yeah,
it combines that synergistic effect of having that same group being healthy together is the overall plan, which is great.
right. And plus, you're interacting, you're talking, so you're having to use your brain, to how do I respond to that comment? I mean, that was really dumb. Um, I won't
Yeah.
tell you about the dumb comment I heard yesterday, but but you're having that interaction, and and another thing is because we don't think about how do I exercise my brain,
Mm-hmm.
but there are certain things like I told you, try brushing your teeth with your left hand if you're right-handed, or with
Yeah.
your right hand if you're left-handed, and you realize, oh, that's weird, that's hard.
Well, and question for you, Jerry: if I don't brush it right, does toothpaste sting your eyes? If I really miss,
I, yeah, it hadn't been that bad. So.
I'll let you know when I try it tomorrow. We'll see what happens.
Okay. Yeah, no, it's just I had to put my right hand in my pocket because literally I had to do that because it was like it kept going like this. It wanted to. That was really strange.
And
But
the,
then there are exercises. You can. You know, I don't spend a lot of time. I try not to. On my phone, but I've got a couple of games on my phone. Well, one in particular.
yeah, exactly. Puzzles.
It involves some thinking. It's just not mindless. As a matter of fact, I just yesterday, or maybe it was this morning, I Googled brain exercises, and you can find a lot on. You go to Google and just Google that, and it will give you some really cool brain exercises to get you like you say, it's a muscle. If you don't use it,
Huge.
um, for what it's designed to be used for, you're going to lose it.
Well, that's
So
it. And you mentioned going into retirement. Okay, now I'm no longer working. Now I want to think every day. That's not on my. I don't get paid to do it anymore. So now what do I do? How do I now actively choose things that make my brain work?
yeah,
Versus when you're working. Okay, now how do I? I'm bouncing back. But your brain is always working. You come home brain tired sometimes too. And
yeah,
looking into it also too, Jerry, with our stress levels, does stress affect our brain health?
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. It's just that's one of those things that I had a note here in this too. But daily stress. I mean, yeah, that. And I imagine you get stressed. You can get stressed. Anybody can get stressed.
I get excited, Jerry. I get excited, not stressed.
Excited, okay. Excited is one thing. Stressed is something else.
Agreed.
But even at that, there's good stress, as you know, and there's bad stress. But it's stress. I get sometimes when I'm doing a lot of things on a certain day, working with some clients and so on, I'm just really excited about what I'm doing. But at the end of the day, I'm still emotionally exhausted because that stress has an
Takes brain
impact.
energy. Right? It takes brain energy to do what we're doing right now. Takes brain energy. I'm gonna
Oh
go home
yeah,
and take a nap after this.
yeah,
But we like doing it, so it motivates us to do it more and more, even though we know we have to recharge later.
right. So there, and again, you can find, and you've probably read, a lot of people have read a lot of things that you can do for stress, like meditation, yoga. I haven't done yoga. Prayer, prayer, contemplation. And tried to spend some time every day in prayer and meditation, and just, you know, trying not to think about, well, I need to do this, I need to do that, and then, of course, we have a supplement that occasionally I'll take that if nothing else seems to be working, but it has a lot of different things. But one is ashwagandha, which I think a lot of people are familiar with. I think it's been used in Indian medicine. I mean, you know, what do we call it? East Asia Indian um, medicine for many, many years. And can't tell you off the top of my head exactly how it works, but it does relieve stress.
Well, you mentioned that like turmeric before too, they have a lot of benefits, ashwagandha, that allows your body to really get to a higher state of health for one too.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
mentioned earlier too, our muscles need to relax, correct? Muscles can't function 24/7 because they're fatigued and tired. The brain needs that relaxation too, so it can recharge itself also. I had a patient come in earlier, can't sleep very well, a lot of pain, a lot of stress. I go, I don't get, and I told initially, I know you're in pain, I know you're stressed, but when you can sleep well, I know your body's starting to heal.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
getting that mental break, that mental relaxation allows you to now get to a higher state of health.
Yeah, yeah. And I've written a published blog on that too, and just some of the things you should do and shouldn't do. Like, and I don't we have time to go into that here, but just things like no electronic interact, no Facebook, and no computer interaction after, or at least an hour before you go to bed.
Mhm.
And that's to relax, to be able to go to sleep. Yeah, that's pretty important. And then yeah, and of course. Once, like you said, once you're able to sleep and get the amount of sleep that you need, yeah, that can have a significant. I know if I go through, I'll have a couple nights where I just don't sleep well, and the next few days, I mean, don't stay away from me, man. I tell you,
A little grouchy.
just a little bit. No, at my age, they call it curmudgeon. So,
Oh, okay. That's a new word for me.
yeah.
And then, Jerry, going to the last topic too, how does hydration affect our health, our brain health?
Well, yeah, brain health. Well, your brain. Oh, I can't remember statistics now, but your brain cells need water. I mean, that's at night, as I understand it, one of the things that happens is, your brain cells are detoxing, and they need water to do that. But at the end of the night, they're kind of dehydrated. That's why the first thing to do in the morning when you get up is I drink like 32, 64 ounces of water. And you think, oh, I can't do that. But it's not difficult to do. But that's important if you want to get your brain cells functioning and functioning well first thing in the morning. Because I used to get up and I'd have a cup of coffee, and I know coffee is very important to some people. But before I have coffee, before I have coffee, I have like 32, 64 ounces of water, and then I think, okay, now I can have some caffeine because the caffeine tends to dehydrate too.
And that's one thing we talk about, which people didn't understand. There's certain things that hydrate us. There are things that dehydrate us.
Right.
So we have to make sure we're aware of that also, which may be another topic, but realize our hydration allows our mental sharpness, but also makes our overall body function at a higher percentage.
Sure. Like I told you, I think earlier, that in the summer, when I play golf, go out on the golf course with clubs and balls, I have a hydration drink that I take. And it's a combination of electrolytes. So you're replacing the electrolytes in your body, which is going to affect your brain as well as the rest of your body. And that's so important. So again, that's I won't go into great detail, but anybody who's interested, I certainly can give you information. We have um, Olympic athletes who use these products. I mean, they don't just, they endorse a lot of things that they don't really use, but in this case, they actually use the products and they find them to be very helpful. So hey, if it's good enough for an Olympic athlete, I have a positive outlook, and I'm optimistic, but I'll have to say I'll never be an Olympic athlete, so it's more than just a matter of the mind. So
I was telling someone earlier too, Jerry. I'm 49 years old. I love playing basketball. I had a dream about a month ago. I was playing basketball. Woke up, my knee hurt. So I'm pretty sure I'm done. I'm done with that because again, I just want to live a normal, healthy life. That's all it is.
Just thinking about playing basketball makes
I
you
had a
need it.
dream about playing basketball, and my knee hurt. Come on, Jerry. Come on. That's
The
a sign,
mind,
right?
the mind is a very powerful thing, my friend.
Huge, huge, huge. We get the idea though. How do we stay healthy, keep our brain healthy for one, two? Jerry, what's a takeaway we can start today before we start buying products from? And part of our show notes too has your website, fit4, which is the number 4, lifellc.com,
Yeah.
along with his blog, same name, along with Facebook page, same name with Jerry Baker. I'm gonna have all links in the show for one, two. Is what can we start today to get our body, our brains a little healthier? What could we do? What is it? An app we can use, Google, or what would she use?
Yeah, no, I said, it's just some of the foods that we talked about, if you're not eating those, I mean, some of them are, like say, dark chocolate. Hey, I can do that. Caffeine, I can do that. Eggs, I can do that. Walnuts, most of the things they're not things that you force yourself to eat because it's, it helps your brain. It's things you're going to eat anyhow. I mean, that's an easy thing to do. And then engage, the brain exercises, engage your brain, make, to force yourself to think, think about, how, anyhow, the one book that I mentioned before, Limitless, there's a lot of good exercises in there, but, you go online and say, hey, let me just do this brain exercise, maybe 10 minutes a day.
Easy.
Those are easy things to do. So, yeah. And then, the regular exercise, I think it's the same recommendation I had last time, get out there and, 5 days, 7 days, great. But, maybe 5 days a week, do about 30 minutes, go out and walk. All that's going to help one thing to help the brain, help the blood circulation to the brain, helps to oxygenate the blood and get it to the brain and just keep your brain healthy. Yeah.
I think a lot of it is, like you said, routine. How do we find a routine to do this every day? And at that point, 4 or 5 days a week, at that point, our body and our brain knows we're doing the active things to keep it healthy. So thank you, Jerry, for being on the show again. Again, links inside everything, the show notes from one, two. He has a great blog. So if you want to learn something every day, go to his blog. He posts, I want to say 3 or 4 times a week. Phenomenal information, my friend. All right.
2 times a week.
Quick picture for the camera.
All right. Have to smile.
And we're good to go, my friend. I'll go in the back show real quick and we'll end the show. Thanks for watching, guys.
Hey, thank you.